I feel so bleak that I don't even have words. That nearly adequately explain what I'm feeling. But I'm going to try in the hopes of having some movement on it and taking the higher road. I don't know what else to do, really. I've weeded out all my escape routes. The only thing left is to face myself, to be honest, and be with what is. Even though it feels like a fate worse than death, even though the pain is excruciating, I know that what I must do is face it for myself. For myself first, not for anyone else. And that's not something to be ashamed of. Shame comes from disgracing the self, distrusting the self, disregarding the self. And when that's made to feel normal and appropriate, that's life-destroying. It's an inversion of life itself. Seems to me this terrible thing that it's the ones most close to us that hurt us the deepest. And how after being hurt, that's the only thing left to do, is to be honest. And that is often cruel. Right now, I'm choosing silence instead of honesty. Because honesty seems cruel. It seems too harsh. And so I hold on to that. I keep all those thoughts and feelings to myself. The things that trigger me are ultra evident, and yet still I'm not losing my cool. The fucking insane next door neighbor outside looking for her cat. That makes me want to murder. After spending all day holding the hand of an immigrant black woman who thinks she's a princess, and that I must help her. It's like I cannot escape these parasitic, dark, feminine. And they're not even dark, they're just pathetic. They're just stupid. And again, I don't believe that I could educate them. I feel like all I can do is endure and hold the judgment inside of me. And today is my mother's birthday. And I was heavily weighing what to do about it. It was either no message at all or just a very brief happy birthday. And I was leaning on the side of sending her a brief happy birthday. And then this morning my dad sends me a message saying that I should do that. And I haven't responded to his messages because I was weighing whether to be honest or not respond at all. I can't continue the charade. I cannot tell somebody something through my words and actions that is just meant to manipulate them into an illusion that everything's fine with me. Especially when it's felt like they didn't care. Why am I coddling them, their reality of our relationship, to benefit them, to make them feel okay, that I'm not actually upset, I'm not actually hurting, I'm not actually struggling, even though there's no inquiry whether I am or not, or a consideration that maybe if he's not talking to us, we might have done something. But the refusal to possibly believe that they had done something worthy of me being upset is what freezes up the whole thing. Long time ago, if they had showed some consideration, some willingness to hear me out, every time it's been me bringing up something when I overflow because the situation is so fucked up to me, when I'm in their presence and their behavior and the dynamic and all of that stuff, and it just, the emotion that I'm keeping down, it just comes out. And it's usually loaded and it's usually tense. And so then they react huge. Because that's always been, it's always been a high tension thing. Or I mean, between my mom it just escalates. It just escalates because neither of us back down. Until eventually she pulls a trump card, which is my dad. I mean, that's the last thing, right? And he's a loose cannon. If he gets dragged into it, he will side with her every time, and he'll probably turn to violence. He'll lose his shit. Like, we know that he's like pretty much capable of anything. Like, I've joked many times that he's Homer Simpson. And except for not a very funny one. But that level of baboonery, I don't respect my dad. I feel like he had actually a pretty easy life. Like, kind of the very best time in Western civilization to raise a family and be a working white man. Those days are over. They had the peak. That generation, the boomers, had the best the world may provide for normal people for a very long time. Now we're heading into a decline. Even myself, the children of that generation are living a more meager existence. And with each successive generation, it's worse and worse. We're at a crisis point, and that generation is holding onto the wealth. They don't want the party to end for them. But inevitably it's going to. For me, the thing is, you know, my parents, well, my mom, all day. I have felt so sick. My stomach, my heart, my head, my whole body. Just like I've been punched in the gut and can't breathe deeply, and this insanity that continues to unfold in the back of my neck and my head. And there is movement. There's like my heart is breaking. In this way that feels good, but also terrible. What I mean is there's like movement there, and I'm feeling all of I'm feeling what has been repressed. But obviously I'm also very, very much holding a lot of it back. Like I have so much resistance to making this video. I was practically paralyzed right before this video. Just couldn't be bothered to get the memory card and set it up. It's just like, what's the point? There's just such a doom and a dread and a despair that wipes out any kind of purpose. Like every 5 minutes, this thought in my head, I hate everything. I hate the way everything is. I hate all the buildings, all the streets, all the people, everything. Everything is dreadful and stupid. And I only wish I could express more how dreadful and stupid I think things are. That's my biggest problem, is being able to express it. I'm not ashamed that I have that perspective. There's a rationale behind it. It's not the only one. I know it's not the only way to look at life. But this astronaut traveling through time and space is a sum of its experiences. And unless I'm going to walk through life like some spaced out yogi, which sounds very appealing, and I think that would be great. But there's this like baggage and story, and like a long time ago, I wished that I could just discard my family and be free of all of that, all of them. I had no real good connection with any family members. And I felt that they were all harshly judgmental of me. Some of them, most of them, all of them. Maybe there's two that I can think of that this doesn't apply to, but toxic, manipulative, narcissistic, evil, self-serving. There's something that, you know what it is? It's hard to describe the selfishness and the good side of that, the bad side of that, because there is a good side of being selfish or being self-reflective. And I think we really need to find this, how do we discern what is good and bad as far as selfishness? I think the thing is it at somebody else's expense? And what do we mean by expense? Surely comfort is not what we mean. I mean, some people do, but that we shouldn't. We should be clear that comfort is more often poisonous than healing or beneficial. And I accept that I received mostly from my mother, Saturnian, discipline that I have internalized for my benefit, because it's like the understanding discipline and punishment even. And that's not actually what I hold against her as far as where she went wrong. I could have used more responsibility, more Saturnian opportunities for discipline and focus. As a Capricorn rising, I'm even more like that than she is as a Virgo. However, if you're going to do that with a Capricorn, you need to give them an allowance. If you're saying, okay, you need to clean and organize the house, and you need to do this, and you need to do that, whatever, which she could have put more responsibility on me, but she liked to micromanage everything. She didn't want to be out of the loop. No, she wants to have you do it her way. There's no creative freedom. There's no having any kind of pride in your work because you made some choices and you did it your way. Which, as a parent, I think is a pretty important thing to do with a child. They're not your servant and they're not your employee. So give them a cultivation that's not teaching them just to be slaves and to take abuse. You're setting them up for failure. And this emotional punishment for challenging and questioning things, this cruelty that comes out at that point, that ruins all of the pseudo love. All of the other performative, I love you so much, it ruins that. It completely undermines it. Because once you break somebody's trust and then do it again and again, nothing you say will have any positive effect, because it all could be fake. And especially when you see that pattern, because you recognize patterns, you can see people's behaviors and you can see into them. And you see, sadly, that what you believed in was not real, was not authentic. That it was serving somebody's ego. And that person actually doesn't even know what love is. So for them to expect you when they just say the words, I love you, oh, okay, so what I'm seeing is an illusion, and this lack of consistency with your behavior, but those words, those 3 words used like on a certain day every year or on a card or something like that, okay, well, that's what I should believe then. Because to me, it's those times where me in duress, in great need and desperation, speaking to my parents from this kind of vulnerable state, and them becoming defensive, them shutting down, them glazing over, them turning on the news and having a drink, them gaslighting and trying to turn it onto me. How many times? I remember thinking about this a lot through the years. Like now, it's like I've almost like forgotten it, but earlier on it was very relevant and I was wrestling with it. How I observed that my mom was like tough on me, whereas other kids, their moms would like gas them up, that's it. And whereas I felt my mom was always criticizing and micromanaging and making me feel bad about myself, with this weird juxtaposition of performative love, which made me very suspicious of people. And also, and then setting me up for failure as far as being able to stand up for myself. This is, I think, the thing that she doesn't see, and because she will not ever, I've never known her to listen to something that I've said, listen to some feedback that I've given her, and her recognize it. Never. To me, that's what makes her a narcissist. I've never heard her apologize or recognize that she was in the wrong about something. She's always got an excuse, and she'll always try and deflect. And she has a myriad of tricks, including martyr. And I've seen her do so many different things, and the pharmaceutical and the diagnosis stuff, like leave me alone, don't attack me because I'm I'm just barely hanging on, or the theatrics and histrionics and all this stuff. And it's like a knife in my gut because it's just been set. It's just been this pattern that I feel I'm like hardwired. I had so much empathy for my mom, for my growing up, like feeling her pain, which she seemed to have an abundance of, and yet also had this like bite the bullet, toughen up thing, this tomboyish toughness that she very much wanted to instill in me. I never saw her try and instill that in my brother. There was all this coddling of my brother, my younger brother with asthma, that she has just coddled the whole time. And very different treatment between the two of us. And I've been way more responsible. I've been way, way, way more responsible and a good son compared to my brother, who's stolen from them, who had to have his kid raised by them. Yet they've given so much money to, bailed out everything. Oh, my guts are just rotting right now. It's also my left side wound, whatever it is. I have this like divot in my rib area underneath my heart, and sometimes it really aches. Like right now. Yeah, I can't stand my brother. I've tried so hard over the years to be friends with him. The only thing that seems to work is if I totally become submissive in his area, in his circumference, and smoke cigarettes. If I'm not smoking, he'll be threatened by the energy that I have, the non-polluted vibe that I'm holding. And he'll attack me. So I pretty much have to smoke when I'm around him if I don't want him to be attacking me. And there's been plenty of times, there's been plenty of times where I fell off the wagon because I smoked with him. And it's like he's satisfied if he sees me smoking and my energy diminishing. He's very sensitive too, but he is so polluted and has been for a long time that it's part of his personality. He's a Virgo too. So he is very nitpicky and he's very mercurial. He's very, very mercurial. So he's intelligent and he will look for and point out your flaws from the minute you come in the door. Oh, you're late. Oh, you want to just, it's like this sick tactic to bring you down to his level. It's so narcissistic and it's so toxic. I don't think he knows how to be a decent human being. When he knows how to turn it on, he knows how to perform because that's what he's been doing for a very, very long time, is this performer. I think he's got Leo rising. Pretty sure he does. And yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal because it hurts that there's such a toxic relationship between myself and my only sibling. And the thing is we have a lot of similarities. When we were growing up, there's a bit over 2 years between us. We spent a lot of time together. We had a lot of similarities in our interests and stuff, which included magic and fantasy books and different things like that. That was great. But he always was quite jealous of me. He was always trying to pull me down and sabotage me. And the thing is I ignored it. I ignored 99% of it. Because that's kind of my nature, is just to like have arrows and let them go. Like I think it's Capricorn rising, it's Aries, it's Scorpio. It's like, I'm not going to waste my energy, and I'm not going to expose myself by responding, by reacting. I'm not going to show you that you've got to me, and I'm going to do my best to be unresponsive and not give you any satisfaction that you're getting to me. Probably what I'll do is I'll remember every slight and put it in a memory hole. But the retaliation never happens. The retaliation is all happening right now in me saying, you're not my people. I don't want you in my life. And that's brutal. It's brutal, but this is the result of years and years and years of feeling mistreated. And I think if I do have love for them, it's demonstrated in the fact that I haven't lashed out and I've kept all of this pain to myself. In the last many years, the biggest thing they can fault me with is ghosting, is not participating and not communicating. And that has been my response, is just withdrawing from their lives. But doesn't that make sense? Doesn't that seem like the right thing to do? The obvious thing to do? Do I owe them my presence so that they can be abusive? They can disregard my opinion, my say, and I feel like they, for such a long time, have like talked behind my back and decided who I am. And they've put, and three people all kind of talking together about something. It's like, it's gonna set something in place. Really, the thing that hurts the most is that my nephew would be exposed to that toxic narrative that they brew up. That they would project all of their shit all together and focus that way. And, the result would be that they don't like me and they have judgment against me. But when it's polluting my relationship with my nephew, who I've only ever been good to, I don't think he has any reason to be upset with me at all. I'm not upset with him. I love him very much, and I think he's a great person. He's never done anything wrong to me. I don't think that he owes me anything. I hope that, I hope he always remembers like having a fun uncle growing up, because we did have lots of fun. We did do lots of cool things, and that is probably, that's definitely one of the highlights of my life, is spending time with my nephew when he was growing up. I think it's probably the closest thing I'll ever have to having a child in my life that I'm contributing to. Need some water. I think I blame my dad the most, because he's the one who should have set the tone in the family. The thing is he had this weakness, well, for one, alcohol, because his wife used that to get leverage on him, to guilt trip him into subservience. If he was an impeccable man, he could have stood up to her. And I mean, he could have been more impeccable than he was by not drinking, because he made bad choices when he was drinking. I remember being in a vehicle, him driving at night out in the bush very fast. Not in the bush, but in a more rural area. And he'd been drinking a lot. I even locked this gate. I locked us in so that he wouldn't drive. But he ended up getting the key and unlocking it. And it was really scary for me. And there was one point where I didn't think he was going to make the fork in the road. And he lost my trust many times. He did things, and there was very few interactions. Like, he was always doing stuff that my mom wanted him to do, and didn't have a lot of time to get to know me or to teach me things. My mom wouldn't let him do things. The only things that he wanted really to do with me was like honestly, I don't even remember him asking me to do things, but he would say, you know, over the years, oh, I'm going out in the boat. Do you want to go out in the boat? And no, I didn't want to go out in the boat. The boat felt claustrophobic and stinky and dangerous and like claustrophobic, like I'm trapped with these people in this small thing. It's like, no, that's not what I wanted to do. No. But that's the only option. That's the only thing. It's like, if I wanted to hang out with my dad, I'd have to be doing what he's wanting to do, but then he was a putterer. So he wanted to drink his beer and just putter. He didn't want to kid around. And he didn't want to have to like explain things because he's terrible at explaining and terrible at teaching, has no patience. He just wanted to fuck around and putter around and be left alone. So because of that, his wife was able to be a tyrant to his kids and pass on the cruelty that she received from her narcissistic mother, pass it on to another generation and get some feeling of she's got her little kingdom all sorted. And I think for me, having this domineering mother and this weak father, for somebody who really, really should have had a strong father, because archetypally, astrologically, or whatever, this is who I actually am. I feel I was indoctrinated to be effeminate and gay. I grew up with older teenage girls who were bossy. All the girls in my life were bossy bitches, domineering and narcissistic. So it gave me this message of like, you can be strong if you're a girl. You can be this weird mix and this emotional combat, emotional domination, guilt tripping, manipulation. And the men, just like enablers and resignation. Sports and beer. And staying out of the lady's hair. It's pathetic. These are the soft men that lead to hard times. And I think the thing that is like, so, I guess it feels also like it's so important, but it's so hard. Is like unplugging how deep these relationships are and how hard it is to criticize these people. How hard it is to lose your faith in the people that supposedly are your people, supposedly the ones who want the best for you and love you. And maybe they think they do, but they are not in control of their whole, they're not self-aware. And so they're like hugging you with one arm and stabbing you in the back with the other. And I have tried. I haven't just asked them for accountability. What I have done is tried to do the best of what supposedly they were doing. I tried to help them. I tried to encourage them to meditate and to do all these things and it's like that kind of backfired. That kind of backfired, and that's a whole big topic. But it's like, I spent so much energy trying to help them and fix them, which I got that from my mom, who's a fixer, who wants to micromanage and fix things without consent. And that's a self-awareness piece that I have tried to get her to look at. Is like, you do things without asking people if they want it. And you're taking away people's power and learning opportunity. And living in this shortage consciousness and this fearful consciousness, which you imbued to your kids, especially the one that takes on the weight of the world. See, I know that they will never recognize any of the assessment that I have, any of the perspective that I have. It's like impossible now. I don't believe that it's possible. It wasn't possible 20 years ago when their brains were much fresher. I probably wasn't as eloquent as I am now, or as clear about the puzzle of it all. What I feel like is that it feels gut-wrenching, but it's like in the scene in The Matrix, Neo pulling out the tubes, the anchors, the plugs, these cords of attachment. I got this message from my parents that, like, go and be independent and take care of yourself, or fend for yourself. It was like, you gotta fend for yourself. Which in itself is not, I don't think it's not entirely wrong. It's a bit of a brutal parenting method, but the world is brutal. But then don't fault me for being hurt and not wanting to be all warm and cozy with those people that use punishment as a teaching method, like as a kind of authoritarian dictatorship as far as teaching about how the world is. You're gonna create somebody who feels a bit of, especially, they really should have consulted an astrologer for me, because I'm quite extreme. I'm quite intense and extreme, and like these, part of me wonders, like, maybe I would have been really turned into some dictator or some like really hardcore CEO, bad person. But actually, that's a previous thought that I had. Like, I needed to be punished. I needed to be brought down a notch. I needed to be shamed and humiliated and not think too highly of myself, because that's a bad thing. And so I accepted these bad feelings. They're like, oh, okay, I'm just not being mature about accepting how my parents did things. But then I reflect more and know that actually the darkness, the anger, the bitterness was because of those things that they thought were teaching me some kind of valuable lesson about life. And I believe psychically I can take this back at least to my grandmother, who I believe was a cruel person and toxic, and maybe had some kind of demon or something that maybe who knows where it came from, because her father, who she idolized, was in the war. Who knows where this toxicity and this kind of demonic thing came from. And I feel, there's probably a good chance that it's transferred to me as well. So there's this like chain of pain. And so I can't just be above it with my mom and be like, happy birthday, we haven't spoken, but it's all good on this one day. I hope you know that I love you. Now we can pretend everything's normal and everything's fine and everybody's happy, and I can't do it. I can't do it. And what I'm hoping is that the message they take from it is that they should do some self-reflecting. It's too late to ask me for an explanation. It's too late to try and say, oh, I want a relationship with you, which my dad kind of suggested in the second to last email. It's too late. It's way too late. He was suggesting that he had a relationship with his dad. But what I saw of it was the most superficial, bullshit. But it's like, that's how, I guess, some men from that generation, the men that my dad was around, there's no depth. It's all bullshit. It's all just stand on the surface of things. Talking about the weather and this kind of wood and the sports. I observed this all along. My grandfather didn't talk about anything with me. He didn't initiate any conversations with me. And he didn't talk about anything interesting with me. I never heard him talk about anything interesting with my dad. Bullshit gossip. And, so-and-so from the Legion was out with his son. He's got this boat. And they caught a whatever out of by so-and-so. That's the extent of it. That's the extent of it. But my dad suggests that, well, he had a good relationship with his dad. So why can't we have one? starting now when I'm like, I'm 49 and he's 70 something. It's not going to happen. He would have to be an entirely different person for me to want to spend time with him and feel like I could actually be myself around him. I don't think he has a clue how to interact with me as I am. I've just all along just adapted myself to their environment. And I think by their observation, kind of been pretty consistent. But it's just because I slip into that character when I'm around them. And it's not a character I like. It's not a character I like at all. It's like a child. It's like a child that's just trying to stay out of the way. It's been a long time now, but I go to their house and it'd be kind of like, where can I sit that's totally out of the way? Where can I just like blend into the wallpaper? And my mom's house is notoriously uncomfortable and unaccommodating. It's always been aesthetically unappealing to me, poorly organized and arranged. I mean, she thinks she's got it all, but it's like from somebody that has no soul, no enjoyment of life. Everything's awkward and difficult, and she's often complaining about things in her environment too. So it's kind of no surprise, but that's the energy she brings to most things, unless there's a guest around, unless there's somebody who she's got to perform for. And then there's a kind of theatrical, super likable person that shows up. Her mom was manic depressive, and I think my mom is probably bipolar. I think is that the same thing? I'm not sure, but something like that. And my brother could be as well. My dad, I don't think my dad, I think he's just kind of dumb. I think he's mentally lazy. Like, he just is an escapist. He just doesn't want to do anything. I think the excessive alcohol use has just made him low vibe, low energy. So he doesn't have a lot of juice in the old bulb. And that is so sad, it's seeing him over the years like that. I remember telling my mom once, I don't love Dad. And there's like a blank space where her response would be, I think it probably was very about shaming me. she would treat him badly, say at the dinner table or whatever. She would berate him in front of us. But the moment that we might criticize him, it's all, he's sacrificed so much for you. He works so hard. You know, he's this Superman if we dare question it. But it's because without him, she wouldn't be enabled to be the tyrant. So the two of them, like, just like my dad sending me a message today that I should send my mom a happy birthday, that's all because he wants her to be managed. Of course, he doesn't want her to be sad or whatever, but I think it's more about, it's entirely selfish, I believe, like, not in a good way. He doesn't want the hassle of having a crazy wife, a histrionic wife. I'm amazed that he's put up with it for this long, but I think the thing is, it's a codependent relationship where neither of them feel probably like they could get a better situation than they currently have. They know that they're just really comfy with each other in their codependence and dysfunction. I think it's because they have these fears of whatever that, I mean, they're so closed books. They don't really open up, either of them. My dad would have to be very drunk, and same with my mom. Probably my mom would have to be even more drunk, but she will whip out histrionics in an argument. She'll use it to her advantage, but she won't go to counseling. I mean, she's tried it, but then she knows better than the psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever. There's no arguing with her. Like, if she believes somebody's word, it's because she's approved that doctor or author or whatever. Like, it's so, in thinking about it, the more I think about it, the more I think I deprogram myself, which is such a weird thing to think about, how we're all programmed by our parents in our whole sense of reality. And it really, really sets the tone for the rest of our life. And it makes me think perhaps the world would be better where children are not raised by parents, but by child rearing experts. It sounds disgusting to have some like child farm, and of course any dehumanizing, but is it possible that we could have a broader tribal approach that gives children all the loving they need with less like engendered biases and trauma bonding and familial self-destructive repeating patterns and behaviors. And it's so insular, so you don't see other examples. You certainly don't see it on TV. TV is loaded with all the various toxic human behaviors. So it kind of normalizes them. A lot of the things that are used in entertainment kind of normalize our toxic familial patterns. What would it be like to be a child that grew up with no manipulative, unconscious, toxic conditioning, where not natural limits are taught alongside an inspiring, nourishing, hopeful education and grooming and discipleship into adulthood, initiations into a healthy culture, without these gatekeepers of truth that are themselves uneducated, miseducated, misaligned, wounded. Just repeating wounded patterns. Wouldn't it be better if a child had many loving men and women around them, teaching them various things and showing them various different ways of being, obviously within a culture that creates a kind of baseline of appropriate behavior, which is obviously important. And from this baseline can grow rich culture that teaches things through abstract symbols and rich metaphor and storytelling and artwork and ceremony and ritual and without all this toxicity and pain and suffering and woundedness from the beginning of one's life. I feel like I'm very unusual because I can see it. And I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist or educated formally in any of this. And I've seen it since I was young. I've seen how adults were hypocritical and flawed and weak and untrustworthy. And I think just Oh, I just don't know what to do with myself. I feel paralyzed. I feel frozen. While also highly agitated, nerves aflame, gut rot and ache. Not because of drugs or smoking or any of that. In fact, I've been taking incredible good care of my body, eating properly, sleeping, not smoking things, and not doing no bad stuff and a bunch of good stuff. And still I feel like I'm dying. That I want to die. I want to be reborn. I want a new life. I want to start again somewhere else. I want it to be fresh. I want to let go of the past. I want to be in the moment and be authentic, and be real, and be myself without fear of judgment or punishment. I want to not feel any obligation for something that I didn't consent to. I don't want to be manipulated and guilt-tripped. I just want to be loved authentically. And I have to trust that I'm not responsible for other people's feelings. And in me not wanting to be confrontational with others and tell them, let them know what I think about it all, which would mostly just be a violence, because I don't believe it would educate them. In me pulling that punch is also doing my best to forgive them and let go of it and not feed it and not give it more energy to keep it going. I think it is the best thing to ignore other people that you're not aligned with, that don't feel good to you. If you're backed into a corner, yeah, you gotta put your dukes up, and that's right, and that's fine. you should be prepared to do that. And occasionally, on someone else's behalf, that's an iffy one. I don't fully understand the ramifications of that. But otherwise, just letting go. Just letting go and trusting that they'll be fine. They'll figure it out. Maybe they need this uncertainty that causes them to do some more soul searching. That's what I've done. That's what I've done with it. I've spent a tremendous amount of time soul searching. And it's not fun. It's not entertaining. It feels necessary. Because when you realize that your ignorance, your lack of willingness to look at your blind spots, it's really quite embarrassing. It's really kind of tragic to be so full of yourself and swaggering around in your persona and then realize that you got a shit stain on the back of your pants. It's pretty embarrassing because people can get really fucking pompous and really like and you know, there is a time for lending energy to that, as I say, mostly in like standing up for yourself, or I mean, in something like this where you got to make an effort. I do, at least, to get it out, and I think because it's not pretty or entertaining or whatever. And also because I've just had this tendency to hold in. So I wonder, you know, will this cause harm in letting this out? To me, this is probably, well, I don't know. It feels like it could be harmful because it could be seen by the very people who I might speak to face to face about it, and it's more long-winded. Would they just watch a little bit and turn it off? I don't know. Anyways, this can go into all sorts of crazy spirals with that. But I think it is me being responsible to find an outlet. That's what this whole practice has been about. This is what this whole thing has been about. In not making other people my canvas as far as like an individual. Like hear me and see me and recognize that I'm suffering. Please give me some relief. It's not one person's responsibility. And this is kind of a way of taking most responsibility, I think, with the least amount of individual harm. For example, me not using names, and it's just kind of abstract. And okay, now okay, this is like super long. I'm ending it now.